Hey, what's up, Road to Results family? Hey, Ray here. I'm Ray. You already know Rhy. Hey, look, here August 4th through August 5th. Eric, I always say it, and I mentioned in the podcast, hey, yes, I do real estate. Yes, I am in real estate. But I remind people what you do can never be bigger than why you do it. And regardless of that, I feel that I don't enjoy real estate. Enjoying isn't a requirement for getting it done. And why I do everything is for my girl is right here. Like it is my family, it is my purpose. So I move at a pace that I have been successful in real estate through Jamal's Make Real Estate Real and my own application of who I naturally am. Hey, so August 4th and August 5th, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do an online seminar. You can sign up for it in the link in the description of this podcast. Hey, I'm going to be doing Real Estate 101, how I got started from military to millionaire. Hey, speak those things that aren't as though as if they are. So take the action steps, take necessary if you want to get in, join me for July 25th for about $100 off, and then so we can actually get going, so we can give you the steps necessary to get started. It's not even about the action, it's about why you do it. It's about the person. So you have to become the right person to make this action step successful. So I look forward to seeing you there. Hey, August 4th and August 5th. We'll have opportunity to do some Q&A, answer some questions, some concerns, but give you the fuel you need to go ahead and move forward and start building your portfolio the right way. Let's go.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Road to Results podcast, where we're all about uncovering the mindset journey. I'm Rhy, that's Ray, and that's Ray, and I'm Rhy. Either way, you slice the pie. What's going on, y'all? It is super exciting to be episode number 15. Come on, say it with me. Quince, y'all. Quince. Yes, sir. And for those of you that are just tuning in for the very first time, Ray and I are documenting our 52-week-long coaching program under the leadership of Dr. Eric Thomas, aka ET, the Hip Hop Preacher, and Associates. And it has just been a beautiful journey. So at the time of this recording, 15 weeks, we have been in the You Owe You Mastermind, and it has been nothing but fruitful. Not saying it's been easy. I'm not saying that it's been all a walk in the park. We've definitely been putting in some work, but I will say, y'all, the growth has been there. So please be sure to check out the additional episodes. Again, this is number 15, bruh. How you feeling? This is 1-5, bruh.
Now, honestly, I feel like it's like 35.
Facts.
But for real, man. I mean, you said something right there. You said it's been nothing but fruitful, but definitely has not been easy. But it also hasn't been complicated.
No.
It also hasn't been complicated. We came into this with the idea and the intent to serve, and that's exactly what we've been doing. So, hey, we as we serve, we continue to grow. We continue to see where we can plant seeds for other people. Continue to see in places where we can grow as individuals. And man, it's just that part right there, bro. I mean, I can't say enough about the support that our African wild dogs and everybody else is kind of giving us throughout this process, man.
Pack, baby. Cohort 1.
We got to see we got to see a good portion of the pack, this past weekend in Atlanta, along with our new lead members, our newly welcome members of Cohort 2. So we got a few supporters out there from Cohort 2 that, just want to give a shout out to, hey, Dojo, what's up, G? Give them that love, man, because they supporting just like Cohort 1 and everybody else, bro.
My boy's fired up. So look, my boy already went in there. So yes, we just came back from the You Owe You Mastermind in Atlanta. As you can see, we got the new swagoo twinsies today with the 120. All right, you feel me? And so for those of you who don't know what 120 is about, 120 is all about, okay, when everyone's given 100%, which you and I both know people don't even do. But when people are given 100%, can you give that extra 20%? And this is the mindset, the 120 state of mind. So when you see it, this is how ETA, this is how we roll. It's like, all right, people are going to give 70, 80, 90, 100%. But can you give 120, aka separate yourself from the pack? And we are doing something new. So we are on Facebook Live right now. We are on Facebook Live because YouTube blocked us because we're still new on the channel. But there are some viewers. So if you are watching, let us know where you are watching from. Drop a question. I'll be sure to bring your comment on the screen. Again, just trying something new. But you are in the live recording of episode 1-5. All right, we just dropped 11 this week. So
Yeah, I
we're
say
far
you look
ahead.
at the drip, man. You in the future.
Come
You
on, you
like
look at the
you like a whole month in the future. If you look at the drip, you in the
come on,
future.
come on. Hey, if you look at the
Go out
drip,
there and prophesy to people about what this episode's going to be about.
I like that. Hey, I love that. I love that. If you're looking at the drip, that means you are in the future. So yes, we came from the UOU Atlanta, UOU Mastermind, and there was a next level speakers conference with Jeremy Anderson and the whole squad. So where do you want to start, bro? Because you know what was crazy? You and I, we were texting the other day. I saved you a seat at the spot. Danielle and I were like, yo, we got to make sure Ray got a seat at the table because you were at the conference. But I just remember, like, bro, it happened so quick that you and I, we had a couple moments of interaction, but I felt like we were doing what we were called to do there, because it was like, man, folks were coming up like, hey, we love the podcast. Hey, you and Ray, this and that. But I was like, man, me and Ray really didn't like kick it like that, like we normally do when we gather. But we were both dividing and conquering is how I like to put it. So yeah, bro, where do you want to start? How do you want to jump in on this? And just like, we're just let's unpack, bro, because this is our first time legit having the opportunity to unpack the mastermind or just that weekend.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, that the weekend was fruitful, but like at an unexpected level. Like at an unexpected level, man. I mean, like I said, we came into this thing, this R2R, the road to results, with the expectation to serve, but just through the things that you and I do separately, on an individual effort, more opportunities and more exposure for who we are, what we do, people trying to help has grown. And man, from the next level speakers conference to the mastermind, meeting people at the mastermind that, maybe we haven't met personally, either through our cohort, people that were, watching the online summit and recognize us. I mean, there was a couple people, man. One of my dudes came up and gave me a big old hug, man. Like I was, we had one of our breaks. We were in the back and I was kind of running around. That's where it's like you and I were both, Danielle had mentioned, she's like, whenever you're here, Rhy's not here. Whenever Rhy's here, you're not here. Because we had, bookended at that table. And I was just like, I sit down, man, then I get a text like, shout out to Tanita. She'd be like, where you at? So I get up because, I was supporting on some of the logistical stuff. Just, again, offering our services. Yes, we are there we are members, but also, if we can serve, then let us serve. And not from a selfish piece. 'Cause I'm gonna be honest, I missed most of the conversations with the speakers at the mastermind from serving in that capacity in one way or another, whether it was someone, pulling me aside, asking if they can ask a few questions, or helping out Danita with something, or just whatever it was. I did miss a good portion of the actual speakers there, but it was still from a good place. I didn't feel like I missed out. Like it was just people, speaking, bro, thank you. Like, hey, I love that. Love the podcast, man. It was like, in my head, parts of them like, why didn't you leave a comment though? Because I didn't even know you watched. But that was like the one selfish thing that I did have going on mentally. But I mean, that's just a mastermind, man. I mean, we can get into the next level speakers thing, in a few, but you never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. You never know who needs that word from you. You never know who needs that little bit of life from you. So for those of you out there, and there's a couple people from Cohort too that I was able to pour into a little bit late Sunday night. Someone needs to hear your voice. And I can't say that, I can't understate that. Someone needs to hear your voice. Whatever it is, whatever story you got, whatever problems you got, whatever pain you got, someone needs to hear your voice. And this came from the next level speakers, man. If you see me suffering, in this life, and you have the answer, but you're going to let me suffer because you don't want to speak up? You selfish.
My boy Ray, you going in already. Look at him, straight pilot, ready to go. I love it, bro. You didn't even, but first of all, that is 1000% facts. Don't be selfish. Well, what God has given you with the message and the story that you have, right? But let's rewind just a little bit, my bro. So let's go back to the mastermind. So for those of you again who are like, what are y'all talking about the mastermind, Atlanta, House of Hope? It was dope because Danielle and I, we watched, the show Greenleaf. Not sure if you're familiar with it, but we're like, hey, this is where they recorded Greenleaf. Little fun fact. House of Hope. But I will say this, because Danielle were like, this looks familiar. And we're like, oh, this is the show Greenleaf. But so a couple things. Speakers, right? It was Jamal King, Milan Harris, Mignon Francois. We had Wall Street Trapper, right? And of course, E and CJ were there. So just to bring context, we gathered for 6 hours. And I'm going to tell you, like, we thought lunch or a break was going to be midway through. Danielle did the math and she was like, we had 2 5-minute breaks and we had a meal at the end. All right. So we were like from 12 to 6 o'clock, we were just being poured into on so many levels. And what you were mentioning, you didn't get to really maybe sit in the talk, or maybe you didn't get an opportunity to like ask a question or have that one-on-one time with the speakers, because there were a lot of people that were doing that. But like you said, we were being of service. So your job was to, help direct the volunteers. Danielle and I were volunteers. My job was hospitality. Folks walking in, I'm just giving them a seat. Hey, y'all want to pick? Give me your phone. I'm like, this is what we're here for. And what was beautiful was, like you said, when folks were even just walking there, like, Rhy, that's right. Like, they just knew us because of whether it was the podcast, the summit, just, even folks from the cohort. And I just want to just, give my heart and just heart out to all of those who just took the time to be like, hey, thank y'all for what you do. We could really resonate with your story. The Haynes, we have, like you said, Dante or Dojo, Sarita Lopez, who, all of the folks, Eva, all of the folks who were in the cohort that are just like, yo, thank y'all for doing what you do. I think there was just this piece of let's continue. And then we got to see cohort 1 folks, Farah. There's so many, was that Josh Jones? There's so many to name, but just know that we were there. My heart was full just for the fact that people were like, yo, thank y'all for what you do. Thank you for demonstrating. You say that time and time again, demonstrating. And what you see is what you get. So what you see here on this screen, the energy you see here is what you get in person. Like, this is just 1000% authenticity. So so just wanted to bring that to the fold. That was day 1. That was Friday. So yeah, before we jump into NLS and all the other opportunities, because we're here to share nuggets with y'all. We're our takeaway. So Ray, go ahead and take it away. And just let's talk about Friday real quick. What were some of the takeaways for you on Friday? I know on a personal level, you and I just connecting with the pack was dope. But in terms of we've seen the speakers prior. We were familiar with kind of their story and their message. But was there anything that might have hit you a little differently this time than maybe when you saw them at the summit?
No, not really. Just like I said, I didn't get too much time to sit down, and I did sit down for Trap's whole thing, and that kind of, and I told him afterwards that that kind of, he was talking about because I'm in the real estate space, but he's talking, he's like I rock with Jamal and I'm in real estate too, but a lot of people go like, it's a this or that. Like if I'm in real estate, like I don't do investing, or if I'm investing, I don't do real estate. And he's like, it's not a this or that, it's a both. It's a both thing. And if you just like, what I was to be like, learn the language, and because people are always worried about the crash, like what about this, what about that? And I think a lot of times we speak that effort into like our own success journey. Like we can only do this or we can only do that. Like we don't see that the opportunity exists on both sides for us. So we stay so limited on the things that we want to do and the things that we want to produce that we miss that the opportunity is, the opportunity is for everybody. And like, tell you all the time, if it's out there, go get it. But, and I found that out this weekend, man, like, I say it, if you want more, prepare for more. Man, my energy level was absolutely drained. And I don't want to say because like the physical running around. It's like Friday I was running on, like 3-4 hours of sleep just because of delays, flight cancellations, all that stuff. That happened to a lot of us on the way over there. It typically does when God's about to move and we can have some impactful stuff in the events that we're going to go. It happened to you, a phenomenal life. And at this time it happened to me. It happened to a few people leaving the event. But I was running on fumes that day. You know, you got me some caffeine, pump it up, but it just kept going the next day and the next day. Just so many people like wanting to have a conversation, and you know, with the next level speakers, you know, I had a shout out from the squad of ET, CJ, and Jamal when they were on the stage there, and we'll get into that in a minute. But it was going through and serving people, but realizing, you know, a lot of us look at certain things that it's this or that. So we'd be like, so for those of us that were there and we didn't go to the next level speakers conference, there's some people that stayed the entire weekend and didn't go to the next level speaker conference.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's
yo,
facts.
why? Like why?
Hey,
I didn't think.
proximity.
I
Bro.
didn't think, bruh. I just telling people, yo, hey, come on, like show up.
Yeah.
I didn't got no ticket. Don't worry about it. Like, come on, like, yo, you part of East Mastermind. Like, own that title, own that membership. Like, nah, man. Like, yeah, it's next level speaker. I'm part of E's cohort number 1. I'm part of his mastermind. So just go ahead and let me in here. Like, you know, it's not from a place of greed as far as the people that are actually serving at those events. They recognize if you just walk in there with some sort of authority, like it isn't just that's for me. This is part of E's community too. Like you've spoken on what the ecosystem looks like. Yo, you welcome in this ecosystem. Like you exist and you thrive in this ecosystem. So embrace it. Stop fighting certain sections and saying it's not for you. Because even if you weren't trying to be a speaker, bro, I guarantee there was a word for you. I guarantee there's a word for every single person that was there, man. Because that was just, bro,
That's the crazy part, because we all have a message, right? We all speak, even non-verbally we speak. And I just want to just like backtrack real quick. Speaking of Trap, shout out to Wall Street Trapper. This was the second time that I got to see him in person. The first time was at the first mastermind, actually at his office. And it was dope because I got to chop it up with him and, you know, prior to him going up. But his whole point, like his whole like premise is financial trauma. And me being in the SEL space, the emotional intelligence space, and he's just talking about just like notice how all these different traumas in our life affect us. And I love the fact that in his space, in the investment space, in the financial space, he brings that up time and time again. And I remember his first time sharing that idea of financial trauma. It was like, yo, I was like, I couldn't believe, you know, like even the thought of just, you know, terming it in the way that he did. So when I think about the time that we had there and his message, and it was, again, just a powerful message. It was crazy because I was in my econ class, right? I'm doing an econ class. I'm finishing it up right now. This is my last week of my econ class. And a lot of the stuff that Trap was saying is exactly what I'm learning in my macroeconomics class, right? The only difference is that he's just making it easier to understand. He's putting his own like slang on it, but it's the same principles. It's the same concept. And something that Trap said that resonated with me more this time around was when it came to investments, was he said, it don't matter what color you are. It don't matter what color you are. It don't matter your color, your race, you know, your religion. And it really resonated with me in the fact that we know that there's a lot of people who get discounted, who get shorted, who don't get the opportunities and the chances for all different kinds of reasons, by the way, you know, they look, color of their skin, socioeconomic status, whatever it might be. But when he was like, yo, you can invest and there is not, don't matter what color you are, your race, your religion, your background, whatever it is, it really just made me think of like how we move and how we're going to continue to grow so that we can have our ownership in what we deserve. And then the other piece, at the end, a little takeaway from his talk was, you make a check, but how much of that check do you actually own? How much of that check do you actually own? And that's when it was like, you know, again, mindset, he was shifting. And those who are in that this or that, I believe it's this and that. It's not either or, it's both and. And that's something that we learned or that we're continuing to see through demonstration. Matter of fact, hold on, we got this comment. I'm going to bring it up to the screen here.
Is it me?
It is. What up, fam? I appreciate you. But no, just is again, being in proximity, being around folks who want to see you win, who have the tools, who have, again, the systems, the processes, and again, our focus, the three main focuses was the bread, the systems, and the product. Right? We were talking about that triangle offense, and I'm just gonna just share one thing that caught Danielle's attention and my attention as well. And I'll hand it back off to you. But when E was going in about credit, we'll just use that part of an example. And he was like, "You just mismanage your money." Right? He was like, "If your credit is bad, it's not because of one thing that happened. Like if you are obese and overweight and unhealthy, it's not because of Thanksgiving, the one Thanksgiving dinner." He's like, "This is stuff that's happening over time, over and over and over." So he's like, "So your credit score is just an example of how you mismanaged your money." And so that hit Danielle really hard. And then again, not to say like we're super like low, but just in general, right? What we've been through individually and as a couple, we just start noticing like, okay, that was, that definitely was something that caught our attention. But the piece that caught my attention was he said, for all of y'all in this mastermind, a year from now, if you don't got your credit right, you don't got your money right, you don't got your systems and your product or your service and that all together, then we can't kick it. He was like, we can't be friends. Like, in a very loving and polite way, he would say, "Hey, y'all, if y'all ain't at the next level a year from now, I can't waste my time with y'all." Yeah. Because that means you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because we are laying it all out here. There was a moment where he was even showing, remember that time he was like, "Can you read this?" And then, someone was reading like one of his bank account balances.
Janine,
and he was like,
Janine's
and so at the end of the day, bro, when he said that to me, I was like, wow, we don't want to be the people a year from now in the same space or in the same spot. We don't want to be the people a year from now. Like, again, that mastermind was an opportunity to connect with great speakers and community, but there were still people there on the fence who still even decided like, I'll do it next time, or they're not even going to, continue on, which breaks my heart because it's like, I get it though. There's that financial pressure, but then I think there's also like a lack of confidence, the analysis paralysis, the fear, as you and I both know. And like, here we are, you and I creeping, we're creeping to the other side. And so for me, I'm like, yo, I do not want to be on the other end of that without E, in terms of like, I don't want to be that guy, like not where I need to be financially, credit wise, impact wise, because that's what we're really talking about. It's like, yo, our impact. If we do what we need to do, and we impact the world the way we want to do it, with the steps, with the guidance, with the mentorship, there's no reason that these things are going to be. They should be more like reunions than they are just pure like strategy and business conferences. Because you and I, we're able to have those conversations outside of these events with the leadership. But I'm just, man, that just really motivated me and Danielle to be like, yo, we don't want to just be here and be here. Like, we want to be there in the winner's circle. We want to be here with like, no, like zero stress or worries about credit, finances, products or services, and just really contribute. A matter of fact, we're like, yo, we need to bring people with us and we'll sponsor them. That's where we want to be next year. So yeah, man, it was a lot. From Friday was really good. I love the fact that Danielle was really just into it on a whole nother level, networking herself. Like, when you left and I would be gone, she was like, well, let me go do what I do. Just like a phenomenal life. So she was able to build some amazing, phenomenal relationships as well. So yeah, man, what are your thoughts on that, bro?
Man, so I mean, that the whole process of, if you're not at a certain point by next year, this is where we want to say. We want to make it practical for certain people. It's like, and CJ mentioned it there, and he's mentioned it several times. It's like, it's not about what you're trying to do. Like, I don't care how dope you think your idea is or the idea of somebody else, but you have to become the right person. You have to become the person that'll make this successful. Like, it's going to work or it's going to work. And so many people want to rely on everybody else's opinion. We want to wait for somebody else to make a move, that we get so stuck and we don't ever make the move that is necessary for us to become that person, because we don't want to hold on to the responsibility and the risks that are associated with it. Because when you want to shift, bro, it does get uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable, that means you're growing. But so many people get stuck in the fact that I don't want to take the responsibility or I don't want to risk it. that we miss the opportunity to get moved on to the next level, that we miss the opportunity to be in the position that we want to be in next year. So we stay stuck. And it's because we're uncomfortable. We don't have the confirmation from everybody else that is necessary for them to believe in themselves. When, bro, you just need to believe in yourself. And that's why CJ, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares how good of a person you are. Nobody cares what great idea you have. You have to demonstrate that you are a good person. You have to demonstrate that this is a good idea through execution in your belief of that idea or that process that you're moving in. And it came up there, and then it came up, like I said, when we were at the Next Level Speakers Conference, and this is when I started connecting with more people there, where CJ was saying thing. He was talking about, this person at the mastermind came up was, what do you think about this? This is what I get ready to do. And he's like, I have no thoughts. Like, I have no thoughts on that. And they were like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, I have no thoughts, because it has nothing to do with the product, has everything to do with the person. So if you're the same person in 12 months from now, or whenever you started, if you're the same person, then you've done nothing but consume. You have not applied. The application of information changes situations, not the consumption. You have to change. And when we're over the Next Level Speakers, he was saying that, and he's like, matter of fact, he goes, Jamal's got this Make Real Estate Real course out, and he goes, and people are out here taking it, but it just doesn't seem to work. He goes, but matter of fact, where's Ray? But he knew I was there. I don't even think I saw CJ before that, but he knew I was there. Because he knows because he was talking about before, so many people want to go out and they want to see what that experience is like. They went snorkeling, and people are on the boat. They're afraid to jump in, and people don't want to get underneath the water, but they can't see all the beauty and the glory of what those reefs and everything looks like because people are afraid to get in the water. He's like, I just want people, if you want to come with me, like, I want you to come. Like, I want you to rock with us. Like, I don't want you to be afraid, because you're going to have to jump in. And we're not talking about tiptoeing around and put your toe in the water and see if it's comfortable enough for you to jump in. Like, you're going to have to jump in with all risks associated with it. But the only way that you're going to see what's underneath that surface is you got to get underneath. So when the Next Level Speaker, when he brought it up, he goes, matter of fact, where's Ray? And he goes, Ray done threw himself all the way in. He goes, I don't know when he took it. He goes, but we see somewhere he got like 17 properties. And Jamal was like, put some respect on his name. And then he goes, he's at like 40 or something like that. So 40, they 40 plus, that got called out. But when it came time for the end of it, people were like, like, who is that? Yeah. So people started connecting me on that. And me, man, even people in our mastermind were like, how is Ray not going to ever talk about real estate? And I'm like, I don't enjoy it. So I'm not going to be out here just talking about it. Yeah. But we get stuck on, this is where we go. We get stuck on the what. Yep. We get stuck on what we're trying to do, what we're trying to create, what we want out of this. When reality is, why are you willing to do it? Yeah. Why are you even here? Why are you looking for that growth? Why are you looking for that level of life that you feel that you're entitled to? And you are entitled to, but this is why I say what you do could never be bigger than why you do it. And if why you do it is bigger than what you ever do, it doesn't matter what comes in front of you, you won't stop. There's no hesitation. There's no questioning. There's no doubt in what you're doing, because you are going to face trials. You are going to struggle at a certain point in time. But if you remember why you do it, all you're ever going to focus on is the person you have to become to make this necessary, to make this a true possibility. And no one else owes you but you. And if you just focus on the development of who you are, everything you desire and want out of this life will come. Yeah. But it's on no one else. Those things that you want, they're real. But you have to become the right person for that to be necessary.
I love it, man. I'm going to share two things, man. Thank you for sharing. And by the way, your sister was like, yes, there's my brother sounding good. So I brought her a comment on the screen. Salvador, what's up, Salvador? Thank you for joining the live. Salvador, that right here.
That's my boy, man. That's my boy, Sal. Sal, keep my secrets to yourself.
I love it. But a couple of things, right? So speaking of real estate, at the time of this recording, or even this live recording, let's call it that live recording, your sister, she has 2 clients, right? So on the way back from the mastermind, mignon all day. Speak what you seek until you see what you say. All right. Speak what you
Yeah.
seek until you see what you say. And so, as Danielle is on this new adventure of being in real estate as a realtor with EXP, we're like, all right, let's do this. I'm going to have your back. Like, she was like, yo, you need to be my wingman because I'm a high pilot and a high air traffic control, and you're a high ground crew and a high flight attendant. We just got to put the two together. So I was like, yo, speak what you seek until you seek what you say. And so all of a sudden, she's getting these messages on the phone through lead gen, through her lead generation folks, and it's like, oh, can you show a property? Oh, can you do this? And now, like, she put in a contract, or not? She put in a contract to be a buyer's agent yesterday. The person is going to put
There we go.
going to put a not a bid. What's it called? They're going to put a
An
offer in on it.
Yeah.
And then more. And again, at the time, we're just going to keep building this momentum. Speak what you seek until you see what you say, people. And what CJ said was on point. I don't care about the product. I care about the person first.
Yeah.
I want to know the person before the product. All right. He was like, and that's something that really resonated with me because he was like, you're going to have so many people doing all of the same thing. So what's going to make you stick out above everyone else? For reals. And I think about like how he was like, one thing he said, not at the mastermind, but he was like, I don't care about necessarily your degrees, your certifications, and all of that. He goes, it's, if you have it, great. But what I'm worried about or what I'm focused on is what's going to get us the bag. Like what's going to get us results. What's going to move the needle? Because time and time again, and I'm finishing my theology degree this year. Like I'm working on my education. You're working on your master's. Like we're doing that. But like his focus is like, I just want to know who you are first. I want to know what you can do and what you can produce first before we even dive into the products and all the things that you're trying to do. So for our listeners out there who are watching this, do you know who you are and how you are? Which is why we're always big on the assessment. Because until you actually know who you are, how you operate, until you can be your most authentic self. And that's why Ray and I, when we show up in the ETA community, we're part of the ETA community now, the way we show up is just our most authentic selves. And there's no trying to be someone we're not. There's no trying to do things that we aren't meant to do. And that, I believe, is one of the reasons why we continue to show up the way we do. And it's being noticed in the sense of, man, like E said at Phenomenal, y'all just keep showing up. Y'all just keep showing up. Y'all just keep being yourself. And I think that's something that I took away from this weekend, being in the community, being ourselves. Shout out to Ray, put me up. DiscoverYourDis.com, y'all. I got a self-awareness starter package and I got the plus package. Get on it. While supplies last, while this price is where it's at, I'm just saying. But all this to say, fam, I'm proud of you. And I say this because I know, the more that we've gotten together and hung out and talked, like the journey and the risks that you've been taking, the ways that you've been showing up, not even for yourself. That's the crazy part. Because we didn't even get to chop it up like we do. I didn't get to hear no blues music. You got the best playlist for the blues. We didn't get to kick it like that. I look at my mom. What's up, Ma? She's giving us a little gold star. Ma, why we only get one gold star, Ma? You could put 5.
She wants to see the road to results. You need to
I
improve.
guess so. I guess we just 1 star, Ma. That's messed up, but I let you know. But at the end of the day, man, like just seeing what you've been through and what you're, the transition out of the military and just the way you show up, not for yourself, but for others is huge. Like if you're not with me when we're at a spot, I already know you serving someone else. And it was like time and time again at the hotel.
Yeah, I needed your flight attendant though.
I seen you every time I seen you. I was like,
energy.
Ray's talking to someone. I was like, where's that? Danielle's like, where's Ray? I was like, where is Ray? He's obviously pouring in to other people. So
yeah. And bro, even with that, man, like I had an opportunity. Like you never know. Like you never know who's gonna list. Like after the mastermind, like I had an opportunity. Carl was still finishing up with some people, and he's like, "Oh, I'm about to call an Uber." I was like, "No, man, let me pull the whip up real quick." That's why I didn't go by Ferris and to get ready to take him to his hotel because he wasn't staying at ours. So I was like, "Yo, what are you saying?" He's like, "Oh, I'm staying over by the airport." Blah, blah. And so I was like, "Cool." So we hopped in, and on the way, he's like, "Hey, man, just tell me about like your real estate journey." I was like, "What do you want to know?" So I had him and Cleon with me, Shout out to Cleon, Universal Flooring Solutions. Out in Florida, he's the one that does the E's, the CJs, floors, countertops, all that stuff. But driving to the airport, and I just told him, like a quick rundown. I can run the mouth, quick, whatever, just get it down. And he was like, man, and this is where it comes to that awareness, and you start recognizing that. He was like, bro, your pilot is stupid. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, I've had an opportunity to serve E. I still want to continue to give back. And this is why you get into these spaces and you just want to serve people. And I'm like, I don't care what you are, whether you're a pilot, a flight attendant, grounds crew, air traffic control. At the end of the day, we all serve. We just serve within our roles. So I was like, I had an opportunity to serve Jamal. Like, that's why I'm, a lender for Make Real Estate Real. Serve E, which is all the things that we end up getting, the opportunity to serve him with. And honestly, want to say even being part of the mastermind was just a way that I can, if I don't get anything from this, I believe in who you are and what you do for people. So if this is what it means to fork out this bread, then cool. CJ, he a pilot, so I just cut that dude a check because, Trey and Veas had the same birthday, so I sponsored like 100, 150 of his books. But I was like, Carl, I had an opportunity. And I mentioned to him in Mexico, after our interview with him, I was like, man, just let me know what it is I can do to serve you. And he's like, all right, but he's, captain grounds crew, like the humble servant, the servant. And so getting ready to drop him off, I was like, hey, man, have you eaten? He's like, I haven't eaten all day. I was like, you want to go get dinner? He's like, yeah. So we just drove past the hotel, went to a spot, and we sat down. And we just started talking. And I was like, you know what? You got a project coming up? He's like, nah, I want to have this. And I was like, I'm going to pilot your next project. I go, so we going to find who's your realtor. He told me what it is. I was like, cool. I'm going to pilot your next project. I was like, so whatever I need to do so we can get through that. And he just like still didn't. He's like, why me? I was like, bro, you serve so many people. Like without you, like this does not exist. But he's so humble, he didn't see it. It was like, so we probably stayed at the restaurant till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So got back late. And then, I'm already only running off 3 hours of sleep. And then the next day, E hit me up at like 4:45 in the morning. That's where he wanted us to connect, the group and stuff. So it's running around doing that, talking to people there, them giving me that shout out. The dude that actually first asked me to coach, which led to me starting the coaching and consulting company. He once they shot me out, he goes, bro, you're here? And I was like, yo, you here? So that we connected in the back. But just so many things, opportunities. And that night I sat down with Carl, Cleon, Carl, Dojo, Wedzir, and his wife Morgan. Shout out to Morgan. Sat down and serving them in their capacity, because when we ran into Wedzir when he was in Lansing, that's why I say, like, if something's on your heart, like, you don't hesitate. Like, you don't know where the opportunity is going to come from. So our small engagement that we had with Wedzir up in Lansing,
Planet Fitness, like, baby.
Yeah,
Fitness. Oh, that was dope.
But he's like. He's like, yo, I just want to, if you could sit down and give a few minutes, sit down and talk to me and my wife. So we did that where it was there Saturday. That's why I didn't make it to Melissa's, birthday party. But sitting there and talking to him, talking to Morgan, talking to Carl some more. And then the next night on Sunday, we had a dude that was from South Africa that was sitting in front of me when they did that shout out. So when we were leaving, he's like, hey, bro, I appreciate it. Can't believe that's real. He's like, that's not, he goes, it's just crazy to meet someone because where I'm from, like, that's not real. Like, that's a TV show. And I was like, when do you head back? And he's like, oh, I don't dip out tomorrow. I was like, and he's like, you going to eat somewhere? I was like, bro, we can sit down and we can eat. But I was like, physically, because this is not the social interaction is not that drains me. But I was like, all right, hey, let me just go, at least just go put my bag down. Yep. So him, me, and Dojo sat down at just the hotel, the restaurant bar, and just chopped it up for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then Sarita, and then Janine from Netherlands. Shout out to Janine from coming all the way from the Netherlands.
Y'all. Netherlands.
For a 6-hour mastermind. Like, this is how important it is for people to become more like traveling. Don't give me, I don't want to quote how far it is, but I know it's not from Texas to Georgia like I did, or from South Carolina to Georgia, from the Netherlands, to be in the room with people that just truly want to see you win. So, bro, I ended up being down there until about 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, pouring into them, pouring into Sarita, pouring into Dojo, pouring into Janine, just to encourage her with the struggles and stuff she's going on. And, bro, the stuff that I told her, man, she took action on that. This was Sunday night. told her she needs to start telling her story, posting. Yes, you are going to suck. Yes, it's not going to be the greatest. Yes, but people need to hear from you. She posted yesterday. And she messaged me, bro. She messaged me a screenshot of someone that was like, yo, thank you. And had a question about a child that's suffering from the same thing.
Come on, that part.
Yo, that's why I told me, I was like, you don't know what your suffering's for. You don't know what your pain is for. So when you're like, all the things that I'm going through, it's not for me.
It's not for you.
But if I sit there and I suffer in it, then you never know why. And it's just, oh, why me? Why this? Why that? When really it's for everybody else. But if you push through that, you got to free them up. But you have to go through that struggling. It's like, we had in the video, like if you would just push through your pain, like there's prosperity on the other side. I truly mean that. And there was a message in the Next Level Speakers where someone said, yo, you are born looking like your mommy and daddy, but you will die looking like your decisions. And if you decide to remain in your pain, nobody else will never know what you were here and what you were put on this earth for. So if you decide to push through, if you decide to repurpose your pain, if you decide to share your story, somebody needs to hear that.
Come on.
And you help them. She literally posted her introductory video about what her daughter is going through, and she's going to continue to post every single day. And one person was like, I appreciate you sharing. Like, what do you do with the toddler that has the same thing and needs this?
Come on.
And she responded.
Come on.
I'm like, yo, and she told me, she sent me that. And I was like, yo, if that's the only person that ever does that,
that's it.
It's enough.
It's enough. I mean, CJ always says it. He's like, we're not speakers, y'all. Stop trying to be speakers. We're problem solvers, right? That's what we do through our stories, through our pain, through our message, through our principles. We're solving problems. And just to like piggyback on that, because I'm calling it, I've been calling it, and I'm going to call it again live on episode 15. But I believe that Danielle and our daughter Brianne are going to go way further than I will ever go. They are going to go way further than I will ever be once they are ready to share their story, once they are ready to take everything they've been through and pour it into others. And I even took them to the next level. And Danielle will always say, well, that's your idea, not mine. I'm like, hey, this was inspired, so it's not just mine, but God puts this on my heart. I don't want to say that much. I don't say that often. But I said, what would it be like? I told them, imagine. And I told them, both of them while they were together, my wife and my daughter, I said, what would it be like after going through all that y'all have been through? Number one, you curated your story and you've been able to share it with power and free people up. But then on top of that, imagine a mother and daughter combo coaching program where Danielle is working with moms and Aja's working with daughters because, bro, they have friction. Like they were going through it to the point where, Danielle had to like give our daughter the boot, like, cause they weren't, as an adult, like, yo, you got to go. Cause it just wasn't working out, but they came back together. And so imagine them speaking at women's conferences, doing mother-daughter coaching programs together and just being a source, because we know there's so many disconnects between mothers and daughters and fathers and sons and all that. But I was like, yo, y'all's story is so beautiful. It's so powerful. I'm just getting access to these spaces, but really I'm setting up a stage for y'all. I'm setting up the opportunity because, again, I'm going to continue to do what I do and share the way I do. But I'm a firm believer that my girls are the ones who are going to be taking things to that next level when they're ready. They, what I'm saying? They're like, well, you always say that. How do you know? I'm like, trust. And with the story you just shared, they just put action to one thing, and there was a mother who could relate. I mean, we can put that in the poll, or you can put that in the comments. How many mothers right now can relate to being disconnected with their daughters as teenagers and even as adults? How many daughters feel like you've ever been disconnected with your mom as a teenager, as an adult? I mean, it's there. And so I love being the witness as a husband, as a father, to see them grow and go through what they go through, but coming out on the other side in such a positive way. And just to kind of like full circle this whole thing with what you said about CJ, about his whole story, about diving in and seeing everything under the sea. Me and you, bro, we got the wetsuits, we got the goggles, we got the oxygen tanks, bro. We are in. We are in there. We looking up at our fam and friends like, come on, y'all. And they're like, and all this is say, like CJ would say, is there a risk? Yes, there's risks. But like my boy Will Vallejo said, one of my best friends, William Vallejo would always say, no risk, no reward.
No reward. Yeah.
So, yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's
But I
crazy.
mean,
We fired
man,
up right
even
now. I
that
ain't
though,
gonna lie, we fired up.
yeah, yeah. You risking staying where you are too. Like, without taking a risk, like you still risking to stay where you are. And it's crazy how many people don't realize that. Like, but I'm just so comfortable with the space and place that I live in, and I don't want to risk that, but I'm not happy with it. So you don't want to risk your unhappiness. You don't want to risk your dissatisfaction because you don't know. But it doesn't take faith or belief if you knew what would come from it. If I knew, if you could show me the facts, show me the Carfax. If I could show you that, it doesn't take any belief. It doesn't take any faith. It
That's it.
doesn't take any growth. It doesn't take any stretching. So what do you think the reward's going to be if you don't have any faith to move in that direction? The reward is in your risk of, I don't know what's on the other side of this, but I do know there's something. And if I know that there's something, I believe that there's something, why I do this?
Yeah. No,
It,
that's real.
the fruitfulness, the response, and it's from a truly from a selfless nature. But it's also selfish, and it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to have that selfishness in the spirit of servitude. I want to develop myself. I want to become the right person for this idea so that I can serve more.
Yeah.
I can serve effectively.
Yeah. I would do retreats, and one of my norms at a retreat that I would ask, the kids and the youth to agree with is be selfish. And they look at me like, what? Be selfish? I'm like, no, I'm saying be selfish for you and your relationship with God. You came here with all your friends. You came here with people you know. Be selfish because this time will never come again. So just to like what Ray is saying, not in an egotistical kind of way, not in, oh, it's just about me, for me kind of way. But when it comes to your life, be selfish for you in the sense of like, this is the only life you got, y'all. Be selfish in a very like, this moment will never come again. This opportunity, these opportunities you have will never come again. And if we're living in this, maybe next time, next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, in whatever decisions that you're like stuck on, like you said back in the last pod, right? 10, making 10 decisions is still, to not make a decision is making a decision, right? And I think that's where, again, we're here to just share our results, our road to results. I'm going to say this tomorrow. Again, the time is recording. I'm connecting with Katie Davis, and we're going to talk about potential opportunities, again, to be a part of, the playbook program in some way, shape, or form. Folks from the mastermind have just been reaching out to both you and I about collaboration. How can we bring our services and our products together? Because we want to keep it all within the same community. I don't know where people are getting at. I mean, you could watch YouTube all day. You could buy the books all day. You could get the self-help and then do the digital courses on a solo, do it yourself, type situation. And again, good information. But as y'all are watching in episode 15, and we got to go to 52 minimum, y'all are already seeing the progress that we're making. You're already seeing the growth. Like, I'll be in conversations after this. I'm actually doing a coaching session with Danielle, one of her friends who's a realtor, because I'm talking strategy. And when we met last week, her friend was like, oh, those are really good ideas. And Danielle was like, who is this guy? Because she's starting to see the clarity that I speak and the confidence that I speak with. And there's no, she was like, he was never like that before. He was all over the place. But now he's like direct. We're hooking up with Gail from the Cohort 1. City Stickers. We're going to do some work with her, see how we can collaborate. Matter of fact, Carlos, Glory Bias, Cohort 2 hit me this morning and was like, yo, just having the conversations genuine, showing up, and more importantly, being willing to pour into others is what's going to get you to the next level. So yes, be selfish for yourself in the sense of growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, because then when your cup is full, then you can empty it out, pour it back into others. And my last part before I hand it off to you is I'm going to just share the idea of, relationships. One of the main components And the foundation of what we're doing here at the You Owe You Mastermind is all about relationships. And you'll hear all the different kinds of relationships that we talk about, but we're focusing on mutualism, mutual relationships. It doesn't mean equal giving, but like you would always say, equal sacrifice. And as you were talking, Ray, about how you were having like the late night conversations, meeting after the meetings, meeting after the eatings, all those things, we had, Danielle and I had the opportunity to spend some time with Francisco and Christina Martinez. We met them up at Phenomenal Life, and then we just stayed in contact, and then we looked forward to Atlanta, and we hung out that night, and we were talking. Yes, it was great catching up, and the pleasantries. But then we really started talking about, okay, so what are you doing for your business? What are we doing for ours? How can we work together? So now, bro, we're working on, I train speakers and facilitators for the work that I do in the emotional intelligence space. I got a workshop tonight that I'm doing. But Christina and Francisco and I were talking about, what if we trained, y'all gonna hear it first right here in the pod, but what if we were able to take this training and train folks to do it in Spanish? Because they're doing a lot of work in Spanish translation, like for Make Real Estate Real and other programs. They did Alex Good Energy's program. They translated all of that.
Yeah.
But I said, wait a minute, let's not stop there. What if I were to train y'all in the work I do, and then we can go ahead and train other facilitators, so we don't just have a bilingual digital course, but we can actually hire speakers, again, thinking of scale, hire speakers to do what we do in Spanish. Would that be something y'all be open to? Boom. Christine and Francisco were like, oh, we're all about it. Like, let's do it. Right. And again, mutual. Christina has a background in education, and then when I started talking about the faith-based work that I do and how there's always a need for, do you have this in Spanish? Can you do this in Spanish? I'm like, pfft. And why is this going to work? Because of the relationship that we have, first and foremost, is genuine. And number two, we got the right guidance, we got the leadership, we got the support, we got the steps, we got the demonstration, we got the example, not just within the leadership of ETA and the You Owe You Mastermind, but now the example of each other. Yeah. And that is only going to get better as we grow. So build that relationship, build yourself up, be selfish for yourself, because this moment will never come again. Put on the wetsuit, the goggles, the whole oxygen thing, jump in with us. Because it's going to be one of those experiences that until you actually are fully in and all in, like CJ would say, you'll never know. So my bro, we're a little over on time on normal pod, but we extra fired up. It must be the sweaters, the energy, the day of the record. I'm not sure
you're going to get an extra 20 after this.
But yeah, man, just if you want to just share some final thoughts for the fam, for all of those who are rocking with us. And again, this is every Tuesday, new drops every Tuesday. So thank y'all for rocking with us. But go ahead, Ray, take it away, fam.
Yeah, so, after we go through these events, these masterminds, these in-person opportunities, man, you just kind of take a catalog of what you're doing, like just that self-assessment, but also when you look at other people, and so many people don't realize, you are ready for this. You're ready for this. Whatever this is for you, like you're ready for this, but you're too busy being busy that you don't have the opportunity to step into this. Whatever this is, you're ready for this, but you're too busy being busy to step into this. And that's why you're struggling. Just busy doing stuff that doesn't move you in the direction of where you want to go in life, stuff that just keeps you preoccupied from the things that you said you were going to do, that you promised that you would get done during your New Year's resolution, whatever it is that you said that you were going to do or that you wanted from this. You're too busy being busy. So until you become the right person, until you start growing as an individual, until you start realizing that the things that are occupying your time are doing only that, they're occupying your time, you will always be in that space of survival. You'll always just be worrying about, how am I going to get that check? How am I going to make it to payday? Until you get past that, whatever this is will never come to you. So once you realize that you're ready for this, give yourself credit for all the things that you've gone through, that you're working through, and that are going to come in front of you. And just become the right person to make this a reality. And I'm saying this in a very vague, whatever manner or message that you want to receive it as, whatever this is that's for you, you have to deliver it. You have to become the person. You have to realize that, yes, I am ready for this, but I am uncomfortable, and it is okay. But grow into the person that you need to be to embrace this, life, and just move through it. It's not that difficult. It's not that complex, but it will be uncomfortable. But whenever you get into this type of environment, you're going to realize that this is for everybody.
Everybody. I love it. I love
everybody.
It, y'all. Everybody. Yeah, it's refreshing. It's refreshing. And thank you, Ray. And it is just showing up. And when we're talking to Carlos earlier today, once you get off the hype train and you're ready to do work, you gonna feel that stretch. And you're going to feel that stretch, but it's going to feel good. I look forward to every single opportunity we get to record, every single opportunity you and I get to be on calls, accountability calls, because we know that it's just helping us develop and become, like you said, become the person we want to be. So with that, y'all, we thank y'all for rocking with us. As always, please continue to share the podcast, like the podcast, comment on the podcast. And as we always say, don't just go with us. Grow with us. Let's go, y'all. We are out of here.
Blow up this mic.
Y'all. Till the next one. We out of here. Gee.